The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
Mr. President, different men often see the same subject in different lights, and therefore I hope it will not be thought disrespectful if, entertaining as I do, have opinions of a character very opposite to yours. I shall speak forth my sentiments freely and without reserve. This is no time for ceremony. The question before us is one of awful moment to this country. For my part, I consider it nothing less than a question of freedom or tyranny, and the proportion of the magnitude of this subject ought to be to the freedom of the debate. It is only in this way that we can hope to arrive at the truth and fulfill the great responsibility which we hold to God and our country. Should I keep back my opinions at such a time, through fear of giving offense, I would consider myself guilty of treason towards my country and of an act of disloyalty towards the majesty of heaven, which I revere above all earthly kings. Mr. President, it is natural for a man to indulge in the illusions of hope, but we're apt to shut our eyes against the painful truth and listen to a song until it transforms us into beasts. Is this the part of wise men engaged in a great and arduous struggle for liberty? Are we disposed to be those having eyes see not, and having ears hear not, the things which so nearly concern our own salvation? For my part, whatever anguish of my spirit it may cost, I am willing to know the whole truth, and to know the worst, and to prepare for it. I have but one lamp by which my feet are guided, and that is the lamp of experience. I know of no way of judging the future but by the past, and judging from the past, and the blatant disregard for our Constitution, our freedom, and our liberties, and all that is moral and just, I wish to know what there has been in the conduct of the U.S. government for the last 100 years to justify those hopes with which the elected officials have been so pleased to solace themselves. Is it that insidious smile with which our petitions have been lately received? Trust it not, sir. It will prove a snare to your feet. Suffer yourselves to be least among the chains you now sow. Ask yourselves how this gracious reception of our petition parallels with your warlike preparations which darken our land. Are armies necessary to a work of love and reconciliation and hope? Have we shown ourselves so unwilling to be reconciled that force must be called in to win back our trust? Ha! Let us not deceive ourselves, sir. These are the implements of war and subjugation, the last arguments to which tyrants resort. I ask you, sir, what means this martial array, if its purpose be not to force us into submission? Can the gentleman assign any other possible motive for it? No. Do we as a country have an enemy on our land that explains the accumulation of arms and ammunition? They are meant for us. They can be meant for no other. They are sent to bind and rivet upon us those chains which the progressive liberals have been so long forging. And what do we have to oppose them? Shall we try argument? Sir, we have been trying that for the last 5 years. Have we anything new to offer upon this subject? Nothing. We have held this subject up in every light of which it is capable, and it has all been in vain. Shall we resort to entreaty or humble supplication? What terms shall we find which have not been already exhausted? Let us not deceive ourselves, sir. We have done everything that we could to avert this storm which is now across our land. We have petitioned. We have demonstrated. We have pleaded for answers from the White House to no avail. And we have implored Congress to arrest these tyrannical hands of the traitors. Our petitions have been slighted. Our demonstrations have produced additional insults. Our supplications have been disregarded, and we have been spurned with contempt from the foot of the throne. In vain after these things may we indulge the fond hope of peace and reconciliation. There is no longer room for hope and change. If we wish to be free, if we mean to preserve our God-given rights for which we have been so long contending, if we mean not to abandon this noble struggle in which we have been so long engaged, and which we have pledged ourselves never to abandon until the glorious result of our struggle shall be obtained, well, sir, we must fight. I repeat it, sir, we must fight. And I fear soon an appeal to arms and to the God of hosts might be all that is left us. You tell us, sir, that we're weak, incapable to cope with such a formidable adversary. But, well, when shall we be stronger? Will it be next week or next year? Will it be when we are totally disarmed and when Homeland Security will be stationed at every house? Shall we gather strength by irresolution or inaction? Shall we acquire the means of effectual resistance by lying supinely on our backs and hugging the delusion of hope until your tyrannical regime has bound us hand and foot? Sir, we are not weak if we make a proper use of those means which the God of nature has placed in our power. Tens of millions of people, armed in the holy cause of liberty, are invincible by any force which you can send against us. Besides, sir, we shall not fight our battles alone. There is a just God who provides over the destinies of patriots, and he has done in the past, and who will raise up our friends and allies to fight our battles with us. And the battle, sir, is not to the strong alone. It is to the vigilant, the active, the brave. Besides, sir, we have no fair elections anymore, and it is too late to retire from our cause. There is no retreat but into submission or slavery. Our chains are forged, and their clanking may be heard across the cities and towns across America. The legal revolution, as outlined in the Declaration of Independence, is inevitable. And let it come. I repeat it, sir, let it come. It is in vain, sir, to minimize this situation you have thrust us into. Some people cry, peace, peace. But there is no peace. This revolution has actually begun. The next gale that sweeps in may bring to our ears the clash of resounding arms. Our fellow patriots are already in the field. Why do some stand there idle? What is it that gentlemen wish? What would they have? Is life so dear, or peace so sweet, as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God! I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death.